Hi everyone, this is Sarah at the Catholic Homemaker. Today I'm going to be discussing a book called The Anti-Mary Exposed: Rescuing the Culture from Toxic Femininity by Carrie Gress. This is a collab hosted by Laura from What Laura Likes, so make sure you check out her video and everyone else's video in the collab. And I will be talking about Chapter 11, and I will be giving an overview of the book and then jumping into the solutions, which is what my chapter is about. Betty Friedan wrote The Feminine Mystique. In it she wrote, "Is this all?" referring to this longing in the woman's heart of the 1960s, this ache without a name. A woman's desire to be more than a wife, a mother, or a housewife. We were made to think that if we just had everything that men had, a career and all, and spent less time or no time as a wife and a mother, that we would be happy. What she was really grasping for was resting in God. It was St. Augustine who said, "Our hearts are restless until we rest in you." This is the longing of every human heart. Feminists in the 1960s convinced Americans that deconstructing the family archetype was necessary in order for women to be happy and lead productive lives. Instead of embracing the importance of the mother and the child's relationship, feminism was dismissive of it. Our pro-life culture turned into pro-lifestyle. We became more of a hedonistic culture. Fast forward to today, and there are increased numbers of divorce, depression, anxiety, STDs, and drug use. Women aren't happier, we're just a lot more medicated than we ever were. Back to the hedonistic culture. If you think about that, it's pretty true, because in our culture today, we are taught that if it just feels good, then it's the right thing. And we're not really taught about what true love really means. When we're searching for the right person to be with or to marry, we're told, well, how do you feel about them? But what's really important to know is that self-sacrificing love is really what endures and helps to keep people, a marriage, together. And that's not really something that's talked about in our culture, unfortunately. I'm here to talk about Chapter 11, though, 6 ways to combat the anti-Mary. And these are basically solutions to how this culture has impacted our lives for the past several decades. The first solution is becoming a spiritual adult. The author gives an example of a priest who formed seminarians, and he indicated that one of his first things he has to do to them is teach them how to be adults. Things like taking responsibility for one's actions, using good manners, being considerate of others, and punctuality. There must be a functioning adult before there can be spiritual adulthood. And that's pretty sad if you think about it, that these are adults already that he has, and he has to teach them how to be an adult before he can do anything else. And this isn't just limited to the seminary. This extends to all young adults, I'm sure. Not to say that every young adult needs to be taught how to be an adult, but it seems like this is pretty common in our culture, at least in the United States. Number 2 is strive for a holy family. Unity and a common mission of both parents to sanctify their children is very important. we as parents, it is our job to be the faith formation of our children, our primary responsibility. The secondary responsibility is the church or the school, but we as parents are the ones who first need to teach our children the faith. And also, if we don't have a common mission as a married couple, division can happen pretty easily. The husband sees the family as a burden, and the wife sees her work at home as a burden. And if you don't have a unity of purpose, your duties can seem menial and heavy pretty quickly, and resentment can set in. So it's very important to have common goals and to be unified with each other, and prayer can certainly help a lot with that. Number 3 is go deeper into motherhood and spiritual motherhood. Jennifer Roback Morse said we all need someone who personally, unconditionally cares about us. And that's not to say that everybody can be a perfect parent, and nobody can. The only perfect parent is God and Mary. And thankfully, we have grace and the sacraments and the wisdom of the Holy Spirit in order to guide us to parent our children. I know certainly I can feel lost a lot of times, and I love that we can look to the Holy Family, to God and Mary as examples of how to be parents ourselves and to be graceful with our children. Healing is also of great importance. There's a couple of great ministries I want to mentioned in the book. And if anybody has gone through an abortion or has been impacted by abortions, there's Project Rachel is a wonderful ministry in order to get healing. Catholic Charities is also another great ministry. Both of these are just great for helping and for healing. One of the things that the feminist movement has taken away from women or been dismissive of is our natural gifts as women. We have great gifts of listening, asking questions, and just simply being present to others. And those things are just so powerful. They're powerful gifts that we have as women. And the unfortunate thing that the message that the feminist movement has said is that we have to be exactly like men in order to be equal. And that's just not true. Just because we have different gifts and we are different than men does not mean we are of lesser value. It doesn't mean that we have to be exactly like them. So I think as women, we just need to embrace the gifts that we have, and those can be even more powerful than the gifts that men have. Number 4 is to fill up your spiritual tank. Distractions can fill our lives if we aren't careful. I heard a priest give a homily a while back, and he was talking about these kind of distractions that fill our lives. YouTube, the radio, TV, and a lot of us, if we're not careful, will also put in our headphones if we're not directly talking to people. We'll just put in our headphones and tune out the world. And he said that all of these things are distractions keeping us away from God. And when I heard that, I was just in shock. I was like, yes, he's right. And so I consciously tried to make myself aware of when I was doing those things. And now that I'm a mother, it's different. I can't just tune my children out. At least I choose not to tune them out, especially since they are younger. And So I don't have the ability to just put in my headphones and do that. I need to hear them. But before I was a mother, I was certainly doing that as a habit more often. So it's just something to keep in mind if you're in that habit. But just be mindful that these things are signs of something deeper. We have to nourish our prayer lives and nourish our soul. Prayer is essential to our daily lives. But having a spirit of gratitude for the many gifts of our lives and having gratitude that we are treasured daughters of God the Father is really comforting to know. And we have to make silence and prayer a priority. And those things, growing closer in our relationship to God, will ultimately give us peace. Number 5 is being aware of Satan's entry points. Avoiding certain obvious places like astrology, tarot card readings, fortune tellers, goddess material, and even yoga can be an entry point for Satan. Know what your children are watching. Look at their screen time and their social media accounts. It's really important, especially in today's day and age, because porn can enter our children's lives. I've heard of even as young as 5 or 6, which is really, really awful if that ever happens. So it's really important to protect your children from these things and to keep their innocence as long as you can. I mean, certainly talk to them about things, but maintaining their innocence as far as like screen time and social media, because these things can be so damaging to them later in life. Be aware of areas of malcontent in your life as well, because Satan can use these negative emotions to entrap you. And comparing yourself to others is another way that Satan can try to grab a hold of you and just turn you away from God. We must embrace charity, compassion, humility, and acceptance in order to free ourselves from the devil. The last solution is kindness and tenderness. Kindness is one of God's greatest gifts. It's very powerful. And I'm going to read a long quote from Father Lavasick. He said, "The least kind action is greater than the kindest wrong. The smallest kindness can lift a heavy weight. A single act of kindness throws out roots in all directions, and the roots spring up and make new trees. The greatest work that kindness does to others is that it makes them kind themselves. As you become kinder yourself by practicing kindness, so the people you are kind to. If they were kind before, learn to be kinder. Or if they were not kind before, learn how to be kind. Mary, Our Lady, models perfect kindness that comes with perfect love." And it's just so true. Just last week, I was at my women's group at our bi-weekly rosary. We watched something from Formed right after we say the rosary, and we happened to choose an episode from John Paul II, the man, the Pope, and his message. And I just remember that you could just feel the warmth, the kindness from this man through the screen, even though he's long since passed away. And I grew up seeing him and knowing him too. So it was really sad when he died, of course. But I just remember he was such a beloved Pope by everybody. And it was because of him. It was because of his kindness towards others. And this episode was all about his interactions with children from around the world. And I think they were all from the 1980s. And it was explained that he would always make time for whoever he was talking to. And people never felt rushed, like they couldn't speak to him. They felt heard by him. And he would especially make that time for children. And God, Jesus especially, valued children. When his apostles tried to send the children away, he said, "Let the children come to me." And we can learn so much, especially from Pope John Paul II, Saint Pope John Paul II, just from his kindness and compassion towards others. Seeing him act around those children the way he did, it reminded me that this is how we are supposed to interact and parent our own children. It was just with so much gentleness and respect and kindness both ways. And it just also reminded me that this is how our Heavenly Father is to us. And it was just truly amazing to witness that here on earth, that a man such as that. And on a final note, I remember recently I heard a priest homily, and he was talking about a difficult situation he came across when traveling. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but the question he asked, and when he encountered this experience, his first instinct was, "Oh, I need to teach this person a lesson." But then the other side of him said, "How can I make this more peaceful and understanding?" And he made that point to us, that we need to be asking ourselves, even in an unjust situation, what can I do to be more peaceful and understanding? And that's really our duty as Christians, is to be more kind and peaceful and understanding. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell for all notifications so you know when I post. Until next time, bye, and God bless you.